Good evening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's drama nahi delivery statement at the start of the winter session of Parliament has set the stage for a very fiery winter session. The Prime Minister turned the knife into the opposition, saying some are unable to accept the defeat in Bihar and are venting out their frustration in Parliament. The opposition hit right back, insisting, talking about issues like the special intensive revision of the voter list and suicides by BLOs is not drama.
Sansad session, SIR and Showdown.
You allow us to discuss SIR. It is very important issue.
Prime Minister's pitch, deliver, don't do drama.
ड्रामा करने के लिए जगह बहुत होती है, जिसको करना है करते रहें. यहाँ ड्रामा नहीं, डिलीवरी होनी चाहिए.
Modi says Parliament for policy, not theatrics.
सदन को अपने उस राज्य की राजनीति के लिए इस्तेमाल करने की नई परंपरा को कुछ दलों ने जन्म दिया है.
Disruptions derail debate goals.
The proud country, now they want to kill the democracy.
Opposition says raising issues isn't drama.
कैसे चलेगा सदन? उनको कुछ तो मानना चाहिए ना. एसआईआर पे नहीं तो इलेक्शन रिफॉर्म पे किसी रिलेटेड इशू पे भी तो कर सकते हैं डिस्कशन.
इधर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के दबाव में ये कोशिश हो रही है कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा वोट कटे. ये एसआईआर का काम नहीं हो सकता है.
Who is derailing the debate? Who is doing drama? That is a big focus on India First.
So this Cold War between the ruling party and the opposition in the winter session, that's our top focus story on India First. Also coming up at 8:30 tonight, the red carpet is being rolled out for the Russian President Vladimir Putin's forthcoming visit to India for the 23rd annual summit. But this time it's special. India and Russia anyway share this special and privileged strategic partnership. Defense cooperation is a very important aspect of this visit. And this visit, the world is watching. Russia has a very clear edge, a decisive edge in the war with Ukraine. The conflict on ground, talks between the United States and Russia, the way Europe and Ukraine are coming together, everyone will be watching what happens in Delhi and we'll get you details. I'm Gaurav Sawant. As always, let's get started. So the Parliament's winter session got off to a stormy start this morning. Disruptions dominated both houses of Parliament. Prime Minister Narendra Modi set the tone. He urged members of Parliament to focus on delivery, not drama. He insisted Parliament is for policy, not theatrics. He warned that shouting slogans and venting their frustration, election after election defeat, will not solve anything. He called for a meaningful debate to address issues of the people. The opposition hit right back. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, insisting raising issues is not drama, accused the government of using disruption to block discussion on issues like the special intensive revision of the voter list. So with tensions very high, the big question remains, will this session of Parliament be about debate or more drama?
प्रश्न निकाल. प्रश्न नंबर 1.
Parliament witnessed a stormy start to the winter session. Ahead of the session, Prime Minister Narendra Modi urged MPs to engage in meaningful discussions instead of indulging in drama.
ड्रामा करने के लिए जगह बहुत होती है, जिसको करना है करते रहें. यहाँ ड्रामा नहीं, डिलीवरी होनी चाहिए. नारे के लिए भी जितने नारे बुलवाने हैं वो पूरा देश खाली पड़ा है. जहां पराजित होकर के आए वहां बोल चुके हो, जहां अभी पराजय के लिए जाने वाले हो वहां भी बोल दीजिए. लेकिन यहां तो नारे नहीं, नीति पर बल देना चाहिए और वो आपकी नियत होनी चाहिए.
The Prime Minister's remark, a clear jibe on the opposition, triggered a storm. Within minutes, the Congress fired back, calling the Prime Minister the biggest dramebaz. Though Rahul Gandhi stayed silent, Priyanka Gandhi hit out saying raising issues isn't drama.
किधर भैया? राइट साइड.
Thank you, brothers. No, I'm not talking right now. Thank you. Speaking about issues, raising issues is not drama. Drama is not allowing discussion. Drama is not having a democratic discussion about issues that matter to the public. We've spoken about pollution. Why are we not raising it? Why are we not allowed to? Today I've asked for 0 hour on it. Why are we not allowed to discuss these things?
As expected, when Parliament convened, ruckus erupted in both houses. In the Lok Sabha, opposition MPs raised Vote Chori slogans and demanded a discussion on the special intensive revision of electoral rolls. They stormed the well of the House.
प्रश्नकाल के अंदर इन विषयों पर चर्चा नहीं होती. ये प्रश्नकाल है.
Opposition MPs accused the government of rushing the SIR exercise, not giving BLOs enough time and allegedly attempting to suppress voters.
वोट काटने के लिए SIR, ये वोट बढ़ाने के लिए SIR नहीं है. ये जो रिवीजन चल रहा है, ये लोकतंत्र को मजबूत करे, वोट मिले, लेकिन इधर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के दबाव में ये कोशिश हो रही है कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा वोट कटे. ये SIR का काम नहीं हो सकता है.
Make sure that everybody who's eligible is included, and then do not include anybody who's not eligible. And any kind of deletion you do it with adequate notice. But why do it in a hurried manner? I think the government must be a little bit more accommodating. Give us space to raise issues of our concern, and I'm sure everything will work smoothly after.
Chaos mirrored in the Rajya Sabha. Leader of opposition Mallikarjun Kharge expressed hope that the new chair would act impartially, even citing Dhankhar's exit, calling it unexpected and sudden.
Honorable Chairman, I am constrained to refer to your predecessor's completely unexpected and sudden exit from the office of the Chairman Rajya Sabha, which is unprecedented in the annals of parliamentary history. It is our fond hope, rather we are confident that you will take care of the entire sections of the House.
His remarks drew a sharp response from Parliament Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju.
कांग्रेस पार्टी और आप लोगों ने फॉर्मर वाइस प्रेसिडेंट के खिलाफ जो भाषा का इस्तेमाल किया, जो आप लोगों ने रिमूवल नोटिस में जो शब्दों का इस्तेमाल किया, आप लोग खुद सोचिए कि चेयर का गरिमा को आप लोगों ने कितना तार-तार किया है. और आज आप यहाँ ध्यान देने का काम करते हैं. Sorry sir, this is a solemn occasion. My appeal is, please don't refer to anything which is not necessary on this solemn occasion.
With day one marked by drama and disruptions, the big question remains, will this winter session see a thaw in government-opposition ties, or will it only get hostile? With Aishwarya Paliwal in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me on India First is Dr. Syed Zafar Islam, national spokesperson of the BJP, former MP Rajya Sabha. Dr. Shama Mohammed is the national spokesperson of the Congress. Aarti Jairat is a senior journalist and political commentator. Also with me is Professor Monojit Mandal, political analyst, to give us a TMC perspective from Bengal. Dr. Shama Mohammed, the Prime Minister accused the opposition of being frustrated in defeat, says the need is to deliver, not do drama. How do you respond, ma'am?
You know, when I heard this, I laughed, because we know who does drama. The Prime Minister of India is the drama king at the end of the day. Now, how dare does he say we do drama? There are very important issues. One is SIR, as you know. There is an SIR going all over the country. We need a discussion on that. One, more than 40 BLOs have died. They are removing teachers from schools. Normal school is not happening and making them BLOs. I mean, and then on one side, the Election Commission says that this is done to remove illegal immigrants, and that is to prove the citizenship of a citizen of India. But the Supreme Court says that Election Commission has no right for that, to prove the citizenship of anybody. So in Parliament, they need to explain why an SIR has been done all over the country, why certain states like Assam is not there. Why are these BLOs dying? Why? Wait, let me finish. Why put pressure? Number two, what is the most important issue right now, Gaurav, Sawant, what you and me and all of us who live in Delhi face, is the pollution. It is killing us. More than 600, sometimes more than 700 AQI. People are crying. I mean, Kiran Bedi, who was a former part of the Bharatiya Janata Party, was begging the Prime Minister, can you please do? He does not want to discuss that. You see, and of course, we have had a terrorist attack recently at Red Fort. And what is drama is when the attack happened, he was there in India. He didn't go to meet the people who died or their families. He went straight to Bhutan, and he had, if I'm not, a celebration, a birthday celebration or something over there. Then he comes back and goes to the hospital. That is drama. We want to know how such security lapses are happening at the center, heart of Delhi. Why wouldn't they be able to stop it? What happened in
Three
Pulwama?
pertinent points you've
You know,
raised.
so
Syed
these are
Zafar
the
Islam.
things.
Okay, fair enough. Syed Zafar Islam, KC Venugopal accused the Prime Minister of doing drama. You heard Dr. Shama Mohammed. This is drama. Opposition raising people-centric issues. If this is not what they do, from pollution to attack at Red Fort to SIR, why is the government not engaging, the opposition on issues of public importance, sir?
Well, Gaurav, you have to understand their intent. Every time we have demonstrated that we want debate to take place on the floor of the Parliament, we have also ensured that in the Business Advisory Committee that we must agree, and there is a meeting of minds in terms of what needs to be discussed on the floor of the Parliament and how much time needs to be allocated. Every time they have agreed, but when actually the discussion had to take place, they disrupted the Parliament. So it is for them to first understand what they are doing, what they are up to. Because the people, as the Honorable Prime Minister rightly said, that in front of camera you do drama and you pretend that you want discussion to take place. But as soon as they see the camera, their mindset changes and they start doing drama. But the people of India who have chosen them as their member of Parliament, as their representative to the Parliament, they expect them to deliver. And something which is very, very important, because the lot of indication has been given that how many bills will be introduced, in what area of the bills pertaining to, whether it is to do with the corporate governance, whether to do with health, or many more. And all these
is the government open?
Once it
Are the Treasury benches open to a discussion on SIR or on pollution?
So, anything under the sun we want to discuss, we are open to discuss. But are they a responsible opposition? Do they really want to discuss, or they just want to disrupt the Parliament? It is for them to introspect what they are doing for the last few Parliament session. Every time, every session, every opportunity, they have only disrupted the Parliament. And I think
Dr. Shama Mohammed wants to quickly respond before I bring in Professor Mandal and Aarti Jairaj. Dr. Shama Mohammed, quick intervention.
10 seconds. They are misusing the fund, the taxpayers' money. Please allow me to complete.
Okay.
They are actually misusing the taxpayers' money by disrupting the Parliament. I want them to become a more responsible opposition party. I want their parliamentarian to become more responsible.
Fair enough, sir. You have your 10 seconds, Dr. Mohammed wants to respond.
Discuss and come up with something.
I just want to tell one thing to Zafar. Remember, it is not our job, the opposition, to run the Parliament. It is the Treasury bench and the government of India. Now, the Prime Minister starts off, instead of saying, you know what, we can have a great discussion this winter session, we are ready for it. The Prime Minister says, opposition shouldn't do dramas. He's already poking the opposition. Look at the attitude. This man will never change. He is not the Prime Minister of India. He's still a Bharatiya Janata Party Karyakarta. That's the problem. You don't start a session by poking the opposition.
Can I just come in, Gaurav, can I just come in? This is absolutely best.
Nothing in him. That's the problem.
Since ma'am, you specifically mentioned the Prime Minister, the BJP wants to respond.
What your party is up to.
Go on, Syed Zafar Islam. Go on, sir.
The Honorable Prime Minister, before every session begins, Parliament session, he has always invited the opposition parties to have a detailed discussion. But this Congress is most irresponsible party. Even yesterday said that this Parliament will be derailed. Because their intent, they have demonstrated in front of people that what they are up to. And criticizing the Prime Minister is the only a job they are left with, because they cannot face the people. People have discarded them completely. The party has been rejected completely. They have never been. Now they are being not blessed by the people. Every time they criticize the Prime Minister, they are using
Fair enough.
unwarranted
Ati Jarat,
statements
if the
against
Prime Minister's intention
Honorable
was
Prime
to
Minister.
provoke
They
the
have been
opposition,
rejected by the
he
people.
clearly succeeded very well. Your take on the Prime Minister saying there are places for drama, Parliament is to debate and to deliver.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was definitely a provocative statement, and designed, I think, to provoke the opposition, and the opposition responded predictably. But the sad thing is, Gaurav, and we've seen this session after session after session, this blame game that goes on. No, you disrupt Parliament. No, you disrupt Parliament. No, you're responsible. No, you're responsible. Somewhere, this blame game has to stop. But the thing is, who's going to stop the blame game? Because there is absolutely a complete breakdown of communication between the Treasury benches and the opposition benches. I mean, there was a time when they used to, a long time ago, Gaurav, when I first started covering Parliament, whatever their political rivalries were, they would meet over a cup of tea, they would have a chat, they would meet in Central Hall, they would, there was a kind of friendly banter. And yes, they crossed swords on Parliament, on the floor of the Parliament, but the kind of, the kind of contentiousness that I see today was missing at that time. And I think that, somewhere the opposition and the Congress and the government must realize that they may be political opponents, but they are not enemies. Parliament cannot be a war zone. Parliament has to be a place for raising issues. It has to
for
be
a healthy debate. We don't see that happen, more often than not.
Because it's become a war zone. They are fighting with each other all the time.
Yes.
And,
yes.
I mean, somewhere, I don't know who's going to stop this vicious cycle. But I mean, I don't know, maybe public pressure. Maybe people need to start demanding more from Parliament, from parliamentarians.
Because bills are just railroaded through. I have to bring in Professor Monojit Mandal quickly. Both want to come in, but I have to bring in Professor Monojit Mandal. Give me a moment.
Camera pressure. They want to be seen everywhere, disrupting the Parliament, protesting in the Parliament.
That's how we
This is not the Parliament. I'm not the Speaker.
That is what they want.
Permit me.
They don't want. And also, Gaurav, one very important point. 15 days of Parliament. They don't even want
Gaurav, that's it.
15 days. When we were in power, we allowed Parliament for many more days. They just want winter session 15 days because the dictator says, I don't care about Parliament. I can pass the bill wherever I want.
Professor Monojit Mandal has been waiting so patiently.
Gaurav.
Okay, 5 seconds.
Seconds
of Islam. Quickly.
Just to rebut her.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Go on, sir.
15 days.
All I'm saying
days.
that these people have only made statements after statement, but whenever the opportunity was there, they have never discussed. And whenever they see camera, so their love is only for camera.
That point made. Professor Mandal, my apologies. You've been so patient and so kind. Thank you very much, sir.
And they are not letting the debate take place.
आप रिपीट कर रहे हो ना बार-बार वही बोल रहे हो
Yes, Professor Mandal, only Professor Mandal. Sir, thank you very much for waiting. Quickly, Professor Mandal. Prime Minister insists India has shown democracy can deliver. He specifically mentioned record voting in elections. He also spoke of India's rate of growth. Sir, does that blunt the opposition's charge? Or do you think that the issue that the opposition is raising, SIR, that's more important than any other issue in your view, sir?
You see, the opposition is raising the issue not because it is SIR, but it has become almost a killing machine. That's the simple reason. And if the Prime Minister finds drama in that, talking about the death of 50 plus people, including the officers of the Election Commission, if he finds drama on that, I mean, what can be more insensitive than that? We do not expect that behavior from the Prime Minister also. Look at the data. My friend was talking about the role of the opposition. Look at the data in the last 5-6 years. Under 267, Rule 267, nothing was allowed. 150 parliamentarians were suspended at one go. This is the first time in the history of Indian democracy. And look at only 10% of the bills, they were discussed and they were passed. 90% of the bills were passed without any resistance, without any discussion. That is the record of this government in the last 6-7 years only. And then this is an issue which is striking a chord with the people of India. And for God's sake, when you're talking about the death of 50 plus people and the government and the opposition is raising this issue, you should discuss it. In fact, I believe that the parliament should have begun by having this mourning first, at least 1 minute silence on the death of these people. Rather than that, the Prime Minister is calling it a drama. What is this? I mean, sir, debate it, because you are responsible for appointing the Election Commission of India. You have tweaked the rule of appointment of the Election Commission of India.
Syed
We
Zafar
know
Islam,
why.
respond. That's a very
Because
serious
you
issue.
want your yes stand in that particular position.
BLOs losing their lives. SIR process is resulting on the kind of pressure that BLOs, and now their videos are coming out in public domain, sir. So why is the opposition wrong if it says it's an urgent issue, debate it in Parliament? Akhilesh Yadav asks, is BLO death a drama, sir?
No, सब ड्रामा है ना उसके लिए BLO
No, first of all, anything to do with election commission, they should approach the election commission. They are not approaching the election commission, but they are only speaking on the television. My suggestion, like TMC went to election commission, Monajit knows the TMC delegation went to the election commission, met the election commissioner, chief election commissioner, whatever the grievances they had, that was adequately addressed. There was they have been responded. Likewise, any other political party can approach. As far as BLOs are concerned, the clarification has already come from the election commission, and I think it is important for us to see, instead of making this kind of a irrelevant and baseless and irresponsible statement which is coming from the opposition parties.
Okay, so you're saying it's irrelevant. Okay, Monojit Mandal wants to come in, sir, quickly before I bring in Aarti Jarat. Go on, sir.
I want to come in too, Gaurav.
Yes, please, madam. Let's not.
Professor Mandal,
this should not be a parliament, the floor of the parliament. Can we have a sane debate? I respect you a lot. The fact remains that TMC has gone to the office of the election commission and they had to extend the deadline. It suggests that everything was done in extraordinary haste, and that is the simple reason that people were killed. I mean, you're talking about seven plus crore people in 1 month. Even I have friends in the BLOs, I mean, who are teaching in the school, their wife, their husband, they are under tremendous pressure. Not just in Bengal. Yes, maximum number of people were killed in Bengal, but it's happening across the country. You should have been more sensitive. You could have taken more time to do it. And you talk about going to the election commission.
You are creating a very difficult environment for them.
Hang on, please. You are
not
a
election commission. It is you.
Are a
it is your government.
Hang on, let me speak.
It is,
These people are poor.
One by one.
They are downtrodden people.
All I am trying to tell you that you must know the truth.
Whenever we raise this issue, you ask them to go to the Supreme Court of India. They are not even finding 2 squares meal a day, and you are asking them to go to the Supreme Court of India. The people of the prominent citizens' names are not there. One of our friends on the media who appears on the television, Shikha Mukherjee's name has been deleted. She has been a voter since 1990. What are you talking about? This is an exercise which is fraught with tremendous danger and was done absolutely under age, maybe under the duress of the government.
Gaurav, instead of making this kind of statement, there is always a procedure to get you. No, I'm saying these kind of statement, if somebody make that this is the process one has to follow. If someone's name has been deleted accidentally or been missed, it is for you. There are opportunities there for you. Once you see that your name is missing, you
fair
must
enough.
approach
Aarti Jarat, the Prime Minister this morning said the opposition needs to change their strategy and include, he said, I'll give you tips, which should include you perform. Let new members of parliament speak. Don't ignore their rights. Now, do you see more of what Mallikarjun Kharge is saying will happen? 12 in the monsoon session, 12 bills were passed, some with discussion of under 15 minutes and others with no discussion at all.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the way this parliament session is going to go too. And, I would just to comment on this SIR business. Look, yes, I don't think that, I think in a democracy, even one death should worry us. And I don't think we should be so officious in saying that we need to follow proper procedure and so on. If there is a death, anybody dies. And that map that you put up just now, Gaurav, was quite revealing. It's not just in West Bengal. It is also in states that are ruled by the BJP. So, clearly something is happening, and I think it deserves a discussion. Now, the opposition should approach a request for a discussion through the proper channels. But yes, there should be a discussion on this. And I think this map is very, very revealing. Look at it.
It indeed is. It indeed is. But
Gaurav,
you know,
just
let
one
me
point,
quote.
just
Let
one
me
point I
quote
need
to
to
you,
say.
Dr. Shama Mohammed.
Yeah.
You know, if 10 to 15 crores go down the drain if Parliament does not function. Remember, Dr. Manmohan Singh in 2013 had said when BJP disrupted Parliament by not allowing Parliament to function, we make a mockery of our system. Or former Speaker Balram Jakhar of the Congress Party, words to the effect, EC is a constitutional body, their work cannot be discussed in Parliament, or words to that effect. How do you come around this issue, ma'am?
Yeah, so before I come to that, just now Zafar said one thing. 40 BLO deaths are irrelevant. That's the word he used, irrelevant. Can you imagine how insensitive the Bharatiya Janata Party has become? Because you can see the videos where they are
I
crying.
think you
know,
have
that's
problem
very sad.
with
And
your
number
ears.
two,
You should listen to.
I
You
didn't
don't
interrupt you,
miss.
Zafar.
Okay,
No,
sir,
don't
sir, let her complete her
say
point. I'm
things
coming
which
to
I have
you.
not spoken. I
Let
said
me finish.
you
And the
people
other
are making
important-
irrelevant statement,
And even,
misleading
you
the
know, this,
people.
when it comes- when
Election
it comes
Commission
to
is giving the
Parliament-
right feedback. You cannot become judge. You
40
don't know
people
how they
died.
have died. Election Commission knows the
They
fact,
committed
and they are
suicide.
making the
They
statement.
committed
They are
suicide.
giving the clarification.
They are
Okay,
You
one
are
by one.
You are
Okay,
you are
one by one.
insensitive,
My
and
time,
you are
Gaurav.
trying to mislead
Dr.
the
Islam,
nation.
just let
We
Dr.
will not
Mohammed
allow you
complete.
to do that.
Okay, just
We will
Shama
not
Mohammed.
allow
Yeah,
you to do that.
So
Yes.
what
Ma'am, complete your point.
Aarti just said a very important point when she started speaking. She said the Prime Minister of India was provocative. He is provoking the. So Manmohan Singh never provoked. Let's
Okay.
not forget it. You know, Atal
Fair
Bihari
enough.
Vajpayee
Syed Zafar
never
Islam, you
provoked
wanted to
the
quickly respond
opposition.
because I have the last 30
that's
seconds
the
on this
thing.
part
What
of the
I'm trying
show.
to say is that it is the duty of the Treasury branch to run Parliament.
Say,
Vajpayee never
say
provoked.
the only job the opposition bench have, opposition parties, to mislead the people. Like I said something else, what she said was totally misrepresentation of what I had said. That is what they are doing in the entire nation, and that's why people are discarding them, rejecting them time and again. They must understand that by misleading the people, you will not achieve anything. By making unwarranted statements against the Honorable Prime Minister, you will time and again be discarded by the people. You have to
Fair
be
enough. It's for the
more
people of this
constructive. You have to have
country
more constructive
to
approach.
decide, but this is a story
when
we'll be tracking
you
very
come to-
closely. Do keep in mind, in September 2012, late Sushma Swaraj had said, we had to stall the Parliament to expose the government. It's the government's job to run the Parliament, not that of the opposition. Now, we'll be tracking the story very, very closely. I have to slip into a quick break here. I want to thank all my guests on this part of the show. On the other side, we get you the latest on President Putin's visit to India and why President Putin's visit to India is so crucial this time. I have excellent guests joining me on the show. We come back to that big, big story. Putin's India visit. Power Play comes up. Russian President Vladimir Putin's just hours away from his two-day visit to India. All eyes on that strategic power play between New Delhi and Moscow. The world is watching. Of course, defense cooperation is top of the agenda. There are discussions that are in place for the S-500 systems, advanced systems like the Su-57s and the R-37 missiles. But you saw the role of the S-400s during Operation Sindoor. But beyond defense, energy and trade also high on agenda. Global watchers from Washington, D.C. to Beijing are closely monitoring this high-stakes Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin's engagement as the two set to redefine India-Russia strategic partnership.
इस वर्ष दिसंबर में हमारी 23वीं समिट के लिए 140 करोड़ भारतीय उत्सुकतापूर्वक आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं।
All eyes are on Russian President Vladimir Putin, India's all-weather friend, who is just hours away from his two-day visit to India on December 4th and 5th. This meet comes 3 months after Modi and Putin held bilateral on the sidelines of SCO in China's Tianjin.
इस वर्ष दिसंबर में हमारी 23वीं समिट के लिए 140 करोड़ भारतीय उत्सुकतापूर्वक आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं।
У нас такие отношения, что я считал, что вы и так все понимаете.
हमारे इतने रिश्ते हैं कि मुझे ऐसा लगा कि आपको कोई अनुवाद नहीं चाहिए।
Lingering US trade tensions and Russia's war with Ukraine have delayed deals like the Indo-US Pact. But Putin's visit can be a game changer. Over 2 days, the leaders will discuss a wide-ranging agenda: defense, nuclear energy, oil, technology and trade. Defense remains a major pillar. High-end systems like the S-500 air defense platform are expected on the table, reinforcing Russia's role as India's primary partner in missile defense architecture. Even as India diversifies its defense suppliers, Russia's S-400 systems proved vital during Operation Sindoor, spectacularly neutralizing Pakistan's China and Turkey-made missiles. Bilateral trade hit a record $68.7 billion in last financial year, with India exporting machinery, textiles, chemicals and more, while imports from Russia remain dominated by crude oil, fertilizers, metals and machinery. From missile defense to energy security and billions in trade, Modi's dost Vladimir Putin's India visit is more than ceremonial. It is strategic. All eyes in global strategic sphere, especially in Trump's America, is fixated on this trip. With Shivani Sharma and Sandeep Unithan, Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me on the strategic significance of President Putin's visit to India are Ambassador Ajay Malhotra, India's former ambassador to Russia. John Black is former advisor to President Biden at the National University of Singapore. Sandeep Unithan is a senior journalist joining me on the show. Ambassador Malhotra, India and Russia share a close strategic partnership, but post-Operation Sindoor and the meeting in Tianjin, will there be more global focus on the visit and the outcome? What do you think would be a key takeaway?
I'm fairly certain there would be a lot of focus on this visit. President Putin doesn't travel out very often, given the war situation with Ukraine. And any visit, and that too to a country of some importance like India, I think will draw the world's attention. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And the outcome of the visit also will have implications and bearing for international relations as a whole and for our relations with several countries.
John Blank, President Trump was to come to India for the Quad Summit. That didn't happen. President Putin is coming. They're meeting in midst of this additional 25% tariff burden on India. How would the US be viewing President Putin's visit to India?
Well, they should be viewing it as the direct outcome of Mr. Trump's rather antagonistic attitude towards India, slapping India with the world's highest tariffs, while at the same time not giving the same level of tariffs to Putin's Russia is just mystifying. And at least as it might look to an observer, Prime Minister Modi is striking back, is trying to say, we're not going to be bound by the U.S. dictates. We're going to further diversify our defense relationships.
Defense relationships, though, oil imports from Russia are going down, energy imports from the US are increasing, Sandeep, but a lot of homework being done on the strategic partnership and defense cooperation. Give us more details. I believe there are conversations on not just the S-400s, but the S-500s, Su-57 fighter jets to be made in India, complete transfer of technology, nuclear submarines on lease. How much of this is just optics? And how will India take this forward in view of a CATSA sanctions waiver, which was S-400 specific?
Gaurav, I think what we're looking at is a very historic visit with President Putin visiting India for it's the 25th anniversary of the special strategic partnership with the Russian Federation. And extraordinary times, Russia is in the middle of a war, one of its longest wars of the 21st century. India is in the midst of Operation Sindoor, which is an ongoing operation. And Operation Sindoor would not have been the success it had been, Gaurav, but for those two critical systems, the BrahMos supersonic missile and, of course, the S-400 long-range air defense missile. Now, what we are being told is that the 5 S-400 regiments are a done deal. This was the original plan as well, Gaurav. Before, it was for 10 regiments of the S-400. It was scaled back to 5. We're getting those 5 again. And in addition to that, there's talks of the S-500, which is the next generation of long-range air defense missiles, which basically can tackle threats at the edge of space, Gaurav. It can take down satellites, it can take down hypersonic missiles, stealth aircraft. This is the kind of technology that India wants. And of course, on the 15th of August, we heard it from the Prime Minister, where he announced that we would have a Sudarshan Chakra shield, a missile defense shield over India very soon. He's given a timeline of 10 years. It is capabilities like the S-500 and the S-400 that India very urgently requires, Gaurav, to secure its airspace. And of course, there are platforms like the Su-57 fifth generation fighter aircraft, only as an interim buy before we can buy, get our own AMCA aircraft.
AMCA in place.
Nuclear-powered attack submarines, Gaurav, it's the only relationship in the world where one country leases nuclear-powered attack submarines from another. We have a Chakra 3 coming in 2 years from now. And there's an offer of 2 more such submarines should India want to option that lease arrangement.
So, Ambassador Malhotra, will procurement of this military hardware depend on the outcome of the Russia-Ukraine war? Because there are some reports that suggest Europe is working on a strategy to keep helping Ukraine despite either US reluctance or US pulling back completely.
Well, in my view, Europe has not got much remaining to offer to help the Ukrainians. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And I think the Russians have ramped up their production capabilities sufficiently to handle the Ukraine war, actually with one hand tied behind their backs. And I do see them coming forward. We are a partner of long-standing 6.5 decades of military cooperation out there. And they offered us the S-400 a long time ago. In fact, we were the ones who didn't take it. And I'm very happy that a responsible government is now looking to the protection of its civilian population. You can't just go nuclear and then forget about, counter nuclear strikes by somebody else. And we live in a neighborhood where we have 2 countries who have nuclear weaponry. So yeah, it's good that we're looking at S-400. I think a few S-400 systems, the Russians have it in hand. And if that 5+5, as Sandeep has mentioned, is what's out there, it's absolutely appropriate. And we must look at the S-500 going ahead. I'm sure we would be the first to be offered it by the Russians. But the point here is we have to also see that its capabilities are proven. And I think that sharing of data, as per media reports, is what is going on. And when that's in place, you would look at getting the S-500. Because a responsible government must have these things in place, at least for the average citizen in the country. You can't just leave us exposed by doing nuclear tests and then forgetting about the defensive aspects of what needs to be done.
Absolutely. But Jana Blank, will CAATSA sanctions come into play? Should India go ahead, whether it's a couple of squadrons of Su-57 as an interim, the Akula class submarines, should we go in for additional S-400 and S-500 systems? Because the waiver was only for the existing 39,000 crore rupee deal that predates CAATSA.
Yes, the sanctions are a real issue. And I think an even bigger issue is India's overall direction in its defense relationships. For around 20 years, India has been trying to move and has been moving from Russia-supplied platforms to Western, US and NATO supplied platforms, because they're better and they're the future. But there have been 2 main problems. First is that US and other Western allies using US technology have been very reluctant to co-produce and to transfer technology. And the second, which is really just an issue in the past year, is that in the second Trump administration, India has felt quite rightly that the US is a highly unreliable supplier. So I think there is an appetite to go with Western platforms for the future, but the West, and particularly the US, is making that exceptionally difficult.
And not for the first time, Mr. Blank, as you would well recall, when India did the 1998 Pokhran nuclear tests, our entire Sea-King and Sea Harrier fleet was grounded because UK and US would not give spares. The light combat aircraft suffered because the G404 engines did not come. And that is why US was always seen as a very unreliable partner. It took 25 years to overcome that, Sandeep. And once again, we are back in exactly the same position that the Americans are extremely unreliable. So there's another generation in India that's growing up realizing how unreliable the Americans are. If the West can be trusted, it's only the French, Sandeep, isn't it?
Absolutely, Gaurav. And if you've seen the moves that the government of India has made over the last couple of weeks and months, it's towards France as being the halfway house between East and West. And this has always been the case, where every time we wanted, cutting edge Western technology, where we went to France, because the French sold us technology without any strings attached. They might be a little expensive, but there is no diplomatic leverage that they have sought over arms transfers. And this is, again, what we are looking at. We are looking at India going back to France for high technology systems like fighter jet engines. Safran is the name that's the rounds. With the light combat aircraft, Gaurav, it was a leap of faith. We trusted the Americans to supply us the GE 404 and later the 414 engines. That trust has been completely shattered in 2025. And as you rightly mentioned, we are back to 1998. Literally, this is sanctions by some other name, Gaurav. This so-called supply chain issues, which is literally sabotaging our prized light combat aircraft indigenous program, is nothing but sanctions by another name. And this is a call that the government of India seems to have made, that we will most likely go with France and certainly with Russia as a preferred security partner, Gaurav.
Because that's tried and tested relationship that's held India in good stead in the past, unlike the Americans. But Ambassador Malhotra, if India were to go in for the additional S-400s and the S-500s and the Russia-Ukraine war is still on, does India risk additional sanctions from the West?
Well, these are unilateral sanctions. If the Americans put them, we'll have to live with it. This is really not the behavior we expect of a partner to whom we want good relations with. We not only look to partnering with the Americans, but with the Russians. So both of them are our friends. And if you see Trump reaching out to Putin, the meetings that are taking place, the exchanges that are taking place, USA and Russia may well move ahead and sort this issue out. And we can't then be left stranded up here. And in any case, we have to look to our own domestic manufacturing. And I agree with Sandeep, what he said. The Safran engine TOT deal that lies ahead is very encouraging. Because it's not that we want Russian or even French or American. We want to have our own manufacturing for everything. And that's why Atmanirbhar, etc., has to be done. Because ultimately, you can't be a country which claims to have strategic autonomy when 70-80% of your requirements of arms and weaponry are imported. It doesn't matter from where. So we need to move in this direction, and yet we can work with the Americans. Their procedures are such that congressional approval takes time, etc., and spares are a problem. Technology transfer doesn't take place, so we have to live with that. Okay. But that doesn't mean we are unfriendly towards them. We are friendly towards them and want to have good relations with them.
Absolutely. And what Trump did, John Blank, was completely uncalled for. The additional 25% sanctions, the delay in G404 engines. It would just appear that America is not really reliable as a partner. But are we to believe that in case the Russia-Ukraine war continues and India were to go in for additional military hardware from Russia, there would be more sanctions that would strain India-US relations even further? Anyways, America is getting closer to Pakistan, which is a cause for grave concern for India.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Will there be additional sanctions? We don't know, because one of the hallmarks of the Trump administration is utter unpredictability. There really is not a coherent geostrategic plan here. how can one find the logic of slapping the world's highest tariffs on India purportedly for purchasing Russian oil at the same time that Mr. Trump is taking Russia's side in its war against Ukraine? It's just very difficult to see the logic there, setting aside the fact that China buys more Russian oil than India does, and it is not hit with this extra 25% tariff.
Oh, absolutely. So, Sandeep, all eyes also on this meeting. We're told Steve Witkoff is carrying a message from the US president for President Putin. The outcome of that, will that have an impact on whatever India and Russia intend to do, or India and Russia will bash on regardless?
I think, Gaurav, what we have with the Russians is such a unique relationship that it's not going to be, held hostage by other relationships that India has, very critical ones like the India-US relationships. And I think that regardless of what happens, the India-Russia relationship is going to proceed. Trump would, of course, want India to, buy a lot of American oil and, of course, American weapons, but that doesn't seem to be happening given the kind of trust deficit that now exists, Gaurav. But for the moment, I think New Delhi Prime Minister Modi is very clear that Russia represents the way ahead when it comes to solving India's strategic dilemmas, whether it is energy or its national security, Gaurav.
Is there also your appreciation, the last 30 seconds that I have on this part of the show, Ambassador Malhotra, that India will go ahead, whatever we want to buy from Russia, irrespective of how the Russia-Ukraine war pans out in future?
Yes, we should. I mean, we are not subject to things that happen elsewhere. These are our decisions. We have to act in our national interest. And that if it demands that we do something to protect our citizens by having these particular systems, we should have them. Ultimately, our own manufactured systems, but till then, if it means Russian systems, so be it. And if the Americans had a competing system, we'd be happy to hear about it. But they don't have anything that can compare with the S-500. So, well,
the third clearly nowhere close, but I will let that be the last word on this part of the show. Jana Blank, Ambassador Malhotra and Sandeep, as always, for joining me here on India First. Many thanks. We'll be tracking President Putin's visit very closely.